This is Supernatural Selection on DeviantBehaviorRadio.com, hosted by Kevin the Bastard. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin the Bastard, and with me, as always, is my co-host, David Davis. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, although is it always if I'm only here like every 2 or 3 episodes?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. You're always in my heart, too.
You'll be in my heart, just like Tarzan and that artery blockage. So, today, we've got a great subject. This is one I've been in love with for a long time. We're sort of tangentially fitting another subject in, so let's go with flying and leaping humanoids.
This seems very on brand for you, by the way.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm like you said, like, yeah, no, this is something you've been interested in for a while. I'm like, yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's just completely out there. It doesn't make a lick of sense. And yeah. So, David, have you ever heard of flying humanoids?
So, aside from people jumping off of buildings, not super familiar with the flying humanoids compared to like other oddities. Could we put the Mothman in that list? Oh, I'm sorry, the Mothman.
The Mothman. Even Mothman is definitely in this list.
Yeah, so like as far as like the flying humanoids go, Irving Mothman is my guy that I know. Yeah.
This is I don't know. There's something unique about it. I mean, anyway, let's go into our sources for today, because I actually have some sources I'd like to cite. The first is the absolutely amazing Unexplained. There's an exclamation point, so you have to say
and it's in all caps, too.
It is. Unexplained! Strange sightings, incredible occurrences, and puzzling physical phenomenon by Jerome Clark. Now, Jerome is a known factor in the paranormal world. He worked with Jacques Vallée as a researcher, and he's mentioned in tons of other books about the paranormal. He is your go-to guy for information on, like, anything in this book. And if you can find a copy of the second edition, I highly recommend it, because this has been my handbook for weird crap for at least 2 decades. It is impeccably researched, takes an actual scientific approach to a lot of this stuff, and yeah, definitely check it out. The second and more sensational book is called Strange But True, Mysterious and Bizarre People by Thomas Sleeman. And I know. And if there is a wild version of a story, I promise you this book is going to have it, because this guy just like the first thing he talks about is the Count Saint Germain, and the title of that chapter is Count Saint Germain, Immortal? Time Lord?
That's fantastic. I mean, both of these sound like really good recommendations. And I'm sure they'll pop up somewhere in my house. My wife and I tend to clear out any paranormal books we can find in thrift stores. She'll come home after work, like an hour after work, and be like, "Hey, I found a bunch of books."
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It'll wind up in my library at some point, both of those.
Okay. Well, there's actually a third edition of Unexplained, because apparently he got so sick of monster hunters, he revised the book, took out all the UFO stuff, and just focused on cryptids. So if you're interested in a more cryptid slant version of the book, I highly recommend the third edition of Unexplained, because it's got like a lot more material. So definitely another thing to check out. Kid actually got me my second edition hardback from a used bookseller, because every time I let someone borrow it, I never get it back.
Oh, man.
It's that good.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've been good boys and we've cited our sources, let's move on into flying humanoids. So, people have been seeing, well, other people in the sky for centuries.
So like NBA players.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that during famous battles and people said God is on our side, maybe it was Michael Jordan.
Maybe it was LeBron in a wingsuit.
Oh my God, LeBron, yeah.
Just dunking over the Rosicrucians.
Oh God, I want to see. They should have put that in that new Space Jam movie. Anything would have helped it, but
Yeah.
so the less horrifying biblical angels are a great example of this. You know, they're winged men and women that show up and they help or warn people of danger.
Or they tell you when you're pregnant.
Yeah. Or they turn up in like a crappy... Have you ever seen that one painting that was in everybody's room when they were growing up of the angel helping the two girls across the bridge and the supports are broken?
I've seen my fair share of plenty of shitty angel paintings,
Okay.
so that sounds super familiar.
Yeah, I grew up with this thing hanging over my bed, so...
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the good news is we're not talking about those stoic assholes. We're going to be talking about some more modern occurrences starting in the 1800s, and they have a bit more of a menacing cast to them.
Well, but, you know, one thing that I like about, like, angel stories is, like, when you get to, like, the more apocryphal biblical texts, angels are terrifying, dude.
Oh, my God.
Like, Yeah, like, multi-eyed wheels with wings, and it's like, do not fear me. And meanwhile, you're just like, what are you?
Yeah, no, it's always like a mass of wings with wheels around it and eyeballs all over it screaming, I come in peace. And
It's like that Google generator that lets you generate those, like, images that have, like, all the eyes and stuff.
but with wings in it, yes.
Yeah,
What it sounds to me like, and this is ridiculous with those, is, like, have you ever seen, like, a hypercube? Like an actual tesseract?
Yes.
It's like a cube coming into and going into itself.
Uh-huh.
Okay, picture that, but a bird.
The inside-out bird.
Yes. The fourth dimensional rotating bird. That's what angels are to me.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good depiction, I think.
Yeah. And I figured this out, of course, after a weed cookie, so that there you go. So 1877. This is the earliest one I've been able to find. A winged human form was reported as flying over Brooklyn. I'm assuming it was apartment hunting. I don't know. All they said, there was a human form with wings. Now, more interestingly, 3 years later in 1880, over a crowded Coney Island, another man was seen in the sky. Now, this guy was described as a man with bat's wings and improved frog's legs, at least 1,000 feet in the air, flying toward the New Jersey coast with a cruel and determined expression. Now, this sounds like the opening to an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Right, or maybe he's like a recent graduate from Xavier's School for the Gifted.
Oh my God.
But okay, two observations about that. One, what the fuck does improved frog's legs mean? And number two, it sounds pretty normal for Coney Island from what I've gathered.
You know, I'm going to have to take your word. I've never been to Coney Island. I kind of want to go. But, like, improved frog's legs, I don't know. I found nothing in the literature that ever gives me a clue what an improved frog's leg is, unless it's, like, seasoned.
Or maybe it's like an old biological term, like, you know, there's different variations of the frog species, and maybe, like, the frogs that are more complex anatomically are, like, considered improved or something.
So, like...
That sounds like 1800s bullshit science right there.
So, like, Hulk Hogan's legs with flippers.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'm willing to accept that one. And the last thing I really want to bring up about this, a cruel and determined... What pissed this thing off about New Jersey?
Right? That was the other thing, too. It's yeah, and, like, if it's, like, 1,000 feet in the air, how the fuck can you tell it's cruel and determined?
I don't know, but, like, I just picture it, like, swimming through the air with the frog's legs and the bat wings going, you sons of bitches in Jersey. Oh, you motherfuckers. Like, they're just going, wow, he is cruel and determined.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's fascinating, but it's one of those like inconsistencies in description because apparently he was 1,000 feet in the air, but you can apparently see his face.
His face and these legs and the bat wings and I don't know, maybe somebody had a telescope? I don't know.
Maybe.
Or hey, you know those things you put a quarter in on the dock that you can see stuff on the horizon?
Oh, there you go.
Maybe somebody used one of those.
Now I'm just picturing him like flipping off somebody through the viewfinders or looking at him. Oh, that gentleman seems cruel and determined.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
I'm on my way to Jersey.
I gotta go to Jersey and renew my license. Do you know how big a pain in the ass this is?
I just realized I missed an opportunity to make a Beastie Boys joke when you talk about the winged human flying over Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, darn.
Yeah, no sleep till Brooklyn, man.
Hey.
So, then in 1897, a man was spotted over Mount Vernon, Illinois, by about 100 people, including the mayor.
Not the mayor.
Yes, the mayor, because no one's as honest as a politician.
Mm-hmm.
But this dude was described as a giant man swimming through the air with an electric light on his back.
Okay, so that wasn't swimming. Those were involuntary convulsions.
Caused by the flashlight on his
I'm
back.
in a lot of pain. Someone get me.
Help
me.
What were those batteries? The big square ones you had to like screw the wires down on?
Oh, I don't know their names because I don't use them anymore. But
yeah, but like the dry cell batteries, I just pictured either that with wires running straight into his butt with a light bulb.
Oh no!
Or a potato battery. So apparently, this is kind of interesting. The Utahay people, which I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. This is Russia. At the Sikhote Mountains in Russia, have stories of a large human creature that haunts their hunting grounds, leaving tracks. And the tracks imply that it lands and stares at them and then takes off without crossing any of the land between. And there was a report in I think 47 of a journalist going out there with his dog and encountering this thing. And I'm going to be 100% honest, man. This could be Mothman.
Well, we know our boy Mothman has been, spotted in Russia before. But, that brings up a question. Like, hearing all these descriptions, couldn't they all just, be Mothman?
Some of them, yes. I'm willing to say that some of these could be Mothman.
Okay.
Not all of them.
At least I have you on the record that some of them are.
Yeah, because there's a few, like this next one, that are a little... let's go with odd. Because this isn't like a guy with wings. So, in 1980, a woman came forward. Her name has not been included because I couldn't find it. She apparently did not want anyone coming to her and going, "Ha ha, you saw crazy shit." So she recounts a story of her and her siblings and some friends playing outside in New Mexico in the summer of 1938. And she said that they all saw a man floating around treetop level. The man was completely gray. Skin, clothes, all of it. But what they seemed to remember was his belt, which was wide and had spikes on it all the way around, which seems kind of weird for them to have remembered that,
Yeah. Well, also, it could have been just like a secret Nazi test, you know what I mean? Because you had a lot of Nazis who went to South America. They were probably setting up the stage for the Boys from Brazil program down there.
Interesting.
There you go.
Very, very interesting. So, the other thing they noticed he was wearing was a flight cap, and it reminded them of Flash Gordon. Which I thought was interesting. They didn't remind him of, like, World War One fighter pilots. It reminded them of science fiction, Flash Gordon.
You know, I'm trying to remember Flash Gordon. I'm mostly just thinking of the movie, but did he have a flight cap? I thought he just had his blonde hair.
He did. He would wear this flight cap that had, like, a little weird little point thing.
I remember now, yeah.
Yeah, him and Buck Rogers both had weird little frou-frou flight hats.
Okay, yeah.
So, it was weird, but he would run around with his hair out because, gotta show off the Aryan blood somehow.
Again, this sounds like Nazi experiments in Mexico.
It really kind of does. Now, this nameless witness had said that she thought maybe, years later, all this was a dream. So she contacted some of the other witnesses, like her brother, and said, hey, I got a crazy story. Do you remember a gray dude wearing a cap and a belt flying over our heads? And her brother was like, yeah. Yeah, I still have nightmares about that crap.
Oh, jeez. Oh, so maybe it was like, maybe they went to the theater and saw a Commander Cody serial.
Oh, dude, I love Commando Cody and the Radar Men from the Moon. I freaking love it. Oh, my God.
I threw that one in there for you.
Thank you. I'm really glad you did. Also, Commando Cody is actually in the public domain. And I'm shocked no one's done anything with him.
He's more like a third-rate Buck Rogers.
Yeah, hey, I'll take Commando Cody over Buck Rogers because it's always great when a scientist gets a punch to the jaw.
There you go. Yeah, those scientists have had it for too good for too long.
Too good for too... Well, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm sorry. That's where America's going right now. I'm going to back up, and we're not even going to go there. So
I should keep some of my other views hidden. I see.
Yeah, let's move along, shall we? Now, if geriatrics and questionable newspaper reports aren't your thing, how about our country's servicemen?
How about the troops?
The troops, our boys overseas. 1952, Kyoto, Japan. Private Sinclair Taylor was on guard duty when a 7-foot-tall winged man flew at him. It stopped and hovered close to Private Taylor and just stared at him. Private Taylor did what every good American would. He unloaded his rifle into the thing. Then it just vanished.
Whoa.
Now, his CO heard the gunfire. So he runs out there and asks, what the hell is going on? And that's when Private Taylor explains to his CO that he saw a winged man hovering near him. And the CO actually said that this keeps happening. He'd had a guy have the exact same experience a few months ago, and they just never officially reported it.
Oh, that's just Kyoto Carl.
Oh, God.
This is Carl. He buzzes the base every couple weeks. He's harmless.
Is this from MASH?
No, I don't think so.
There was an episode of MASH where this dude kept flying by the 4077 and like trying to drop bombs on them in like a shitty biplane, and he was so hilariously bad at it, everybody would come outside and start cheering him on.
Oh my God, yeah, that sounds like a MASH episode.
Doesn't it, though?
Well, and, listening to this, like, I find it hilarious that they choose not to report this thing that happens to the military base pretty regularly, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but I can kind of understand, the further it goes up the chain of command, the more it's like, I think we need to cut liquor.
The crazy bad assholes flying by the base again. Do we report it? Nah.
No. No, we're not going to be able to score acid if we do that. Now, during the Vietnam War, pardon, there were reports of a naked winged woman. She would approach servicemen and fly over them. They described her as jet black and covered in thin fur. Her arms were like bat wings, and she had a faint green glow. No one ever shot at her, though. Well, not with the guns.
Okay, so first of all, I'm into it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of like, all right.
All right. But secondly, I'm just envisioning that Penthouse letter. Dear Penthouse, you won't believe how I joined the Mile High Club in Vietnam.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, Could you imagine that, though? You go over there and, like, you hear about, like, oh, man, these Vietnamese women, you gotta go. And then you see that, and it's like, well, everything is ruined for me now.
Some sort of radioactive bat chick just buzzed the building.
Now this is all I can get off to.
So that's great.
So now that we're here, let's
War
talk for a
changes
second.
a man.
War
changes a man.
But war never changes. So what are you thinking so far? I tend to take stories from the military a bit more seriously, and I was just wondering if you had some thoughts on these.
Yeah, well, I mean, the military does have this tendency to document stuff and not draw conclusions, which I respect. It's just, this is a thing that we saw, we've recorded it. So, obviously someone saw something and they reported it, aside from whatever the fuck happened in Kyoto that time. But I do generally appreciate that they don't mess around with the stuff and they just kind of give the facts as they are recorded. And it's been feeding ufologists for like decades, and it's been entertaining me for years, so I'm all for it. I enjoy the military reports of these things.
Oh yeah, no, they're the ones that I really find interesting. One of these days we're going to have to talk about USOs, because the military has so many reports on those, it's amazing.
That would be a fun one.
Yes. So, as far as our flying folks go, I've been saving my favorite for last. Now, this one is interesting to me because while it didn't leave any physical evidence, it left something more substantial for the witness.
It left a song in their heart.
Yes, and unfortunately that song is Hello My Baby, Hello My Honey, Hello My Ragtime Gal.
I was going to say the song is just Pharrell screaming.
Alright, so 1956, Falls City, Nebraska. The quote-unquote Hanks family, a pseudonym, has just gotten home from having a grand day out, I guess, and the father, John, is loading his pickup for work tomorrow. Now, it doesn't really sound like he had a good time, but, whatever.
Yeah, just, there was a party, I went. Didn't really feel anything. That's why I drink.
This is why I drink. I'm married to the Ice Queen. So John, while he's loading his truck, looks over his shoulder for a second and then stops and turns around immediately, because what he first thought was a kite about 3 blocks away was something much worse for him. A large, flying human shape.
Well, it depends on whose shape, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like what if it had been like the Bat Lady from Vietnam?
Yeah, the radioactive bat lady.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd have problems with that. So, it gets within 25 feet of him and he can see its face, which seems to keep drawing his eye. Its face was leathery and wrinkled and kind of folded over, like, I'm guessing bags under its eyes.
Or Nick Nolte.
Or Nick Nolte, yes, very true. Nick Nolte, holy shit, maybe it was a time-traveling Nick Nolte. But the eyes were bright blue and mounted like a horse's eyes.
Oof.
And he said its hands looked like a bird's wings without feathers.
So it had this, like, human-type, like, head, but the eyes were along the side of the head. That seems super unfortunate.
It sounds terrifying, to be honest, if I saw this thing.
Yeah, most of the face was just probably, oh man, so were the eyes along the temple? What the hell's going on with this thing?
The bad thing is, immediately I'm thinking of Ren. From Ren and Stimpy.
You idiot!
You idiot, Stimpy. So, this is interesting because unlike a lot of these stories, its hands were free, and that's because it wasn't flying under its own power. It was using a giant set of metallic wings with what sounds like fiber optic lighting under them running along the spines of the wing. And the colors are changing, and they're hooked into a backpack. And it was controlling the whole thing with knobs on its chest, just like Commando Cody.
I just like this whole idea of a jet horse with his little chest panel, just flying in the air.
Oh my god! Can you draw that?
I may do that, but the other thing I'm thinking about is I'm just hearing this description, and I'm just like, I think I've seen that cover of Amazing Stories at some point.
You're probably right, and it's probably what's wrong with Steven Spielberg today. So, John was terrified by whatever the hell this thing was.
Well, of course he was. This thing's terrifying to look at.
I know, and he's rooted to the ground for the entire 15 minutes he is seeing this thing.
I'm just picturing Jet Horse just kind of making circles, lazy circles around the house.
Well, it does. It flies, like, around him and over him, and, like, then just off into the distance. Just Jet Horse. So, 15 minutes he sees this thing. That's the other thing. A lot of these reports are always like, well, we saw a dude flying for about 34 seconds, and he was 10,000 feet in the air and dropped poo-poo on us. But this 15 minutes of shared experience with this thing.
I'm just picturing his son coming out. Hey, Dad, what's going on? Oh, I'm just looking at the magic flying horse. Go back inside.
I'm pretty sure if the kid had come out, the kid would have had the same problem he had, because for the next 30 years, John suffered from night terrors.
Oh, he could never go to a pony farm ever again.
Oh my God, no, you can never take him to a donkey show. I mean, like, the rodeo's right out. So, he says he kept waking up and screaming, seeing this thing's face in its mind. It got to the point where he couldn't sleep on his back or with his back to a door for fear that this thing was just going to come in the house.
Oh, that's nothing unusual. I have that same problem.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, I sit like Tony Soprano in any room I'm in. I always have to have my back to the wall.
I could see that, though. I mean, there's, like, good, healthy
A lot of
paranoia.
people want to kill me.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to try a lot harder.
Yep.
So, sometime in the 1980s, he finally gets past this and moves on. And when they were,
I want to know how he got over this trauma. Like,
I don't
who did he
know.
talk to?
Well, when
Can
they
you help me with the
interviewed him-
flying demon horse?
I want to know what you did to get past the Nightmares of the Flying Horseman. So, the thing is, in the interview, when he was telling this to the researcher, they're like, "How'd you get past it?" And he just shook his head and said, "It doesn't fucking matter anymore, man."
Oh shit! Oh my God!
It's like
he's been broken.
He had to kill something inside his mind.
Oh no! Oh, that's so sad.
I know. It's so freaking sad, and I'm kind of inclined to put some stock in this one because this guy saw something. I don't know what it was, but it was something, and it's one of the most unique reports about an encounter I've ever read. So, What do you think?
Well, like, obviously, yeah, he saw some that freaked him out, and I feel really bad for him now. But we don't have a ton of info about him and his situation because everything's done with, like, a pseudonym and everything like that. So I guess one question I have, like, was there any record of mental illness in his family's background or something like that? And I don't think we'll have those answers.
That's true, but here's one thing I consider. Jerome Clark's investigations are really in-depth. Mm-hmm. And I like to think he would have mentioned some form of mental illness in the guy's past or family history. I guarantee you there was fucking mental illness in his family's future after that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Why does Dad shoot at every
horse?
horse?
Yeah.
What is it that every time Dad sees a horse, he starts screaming and shooting? I don't get it. So, those are probably the most interesting stories I've got about actual flying humans.
Right.
So, we've done the flying. Let's talk about the leap. My absolutely favorite tangentially related thing to this. You know him. You love him. Springheel Jack.
Boing.
Okay, look, I understand you get excited, but I ask you to put your pants back on.
Ah, man.
So, here's a question for you, man.
Okay.
Why is everything in the UK called Jack? Jack the Ripper, Springheel Jack, Saucy Jackie. There's every time something turns up, it's never like, Rotating Steve or Stabby Magoo. It's Jack.
Well, Jack's kind of like a lower to middle class, like everyman name, I think.
Okay.
It's like, it would probably be like the equivalent to, I would say, maybe like John here in the U.S., at least for a few decades. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
It's like the everyman name.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we still use that naming convention? Everyone needs to stay inside. Zodiac John is on the loose.
Bind, torture, kill, or John.
Oh, God, we need to bring that back.
Oh, man.
Stabby Jack should be the next serial killer.
There you go.
So, what do you know about Springheel Jack?
So, I believe he was a cloaked and spring-heeled fellow, and what he would do is he would assault people in London and then bounce off into the night, for a couple of decades, kind of like a sinister gummy bear.
I didn't see that episode, but thank you for that. That's a very apt description. Very good, thank you.
Good for me.
Yeah, you get a cookie. So, for those that don't know, Springheel Jack was a character that did in fact turn up in London in 1837. He was always described as tall, thin, strong, with eyes glowing with an unnatural light. His outfit changed depending. A lot of times it was reported as dark clothes and a cloak, like a gentleman of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes he was wearing the cloak, and underneath were shiny silver clothes, like silver lame, and a weird skull cap. Again, kind of like Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. And his face was typically ranged from pale human to having a demonic visage. Now, he gets the name Springheel because he could jump inhumanly high and far over 10 to 12 foot stone walls. He could also apparently breathe a blue sulfurous flame to knock people out or blind them. And what did the mysterious and powerful Springheel Jack use these powers for? Sex crimes. Yeah.
Shit.
So he'd jump out of the shadows and cop a feel, and then jump off laughing. And he did this for like 23 years around London. And sightings actually continued up into the 1970s in South America, of all places.
Okay, so one observation I want to make is that, he sounds a little like Dalsim from Street Fighter. The sulfurous flame, yoga flame.
Yes, yoga fire.
Yep. So, there we go. It's Dalsim.
Yes.
You solved it.
Okay, that's it. It's Dalsim. He had a cape. He was tired of being a monk. I mean, and here's the thing. They caught him a couple of times. Well,
Really?
nearly caught him. Here's the thing. A lot of people point to this as being like sensational newspaper articles, like you used to get, like the whole, we done found Batman on the moon. But made-up stories do not have police reports and the governor of London declaring a manhunt. But, he was at someone's door and the cops almost caught him because he is like, oh, two girls alone in the house, I'm going to do devious things. And a cop showed up.
He's like the shitty, he's like Trauma Batman.
He is Trauma Batman. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Somebody get me Lloyd Kaufman now. Uncle Lloyd, please make this. So, anyway, the cops nearly catch him, and he, does his blue-white flame thing and leaps off. So, here's the question. What in the hell are we dealing with?
Sounds to me like the next D-list character in the MCU to get a Disney Plus series.
Jesus. Is this a jab at Moon Knight?
Nah, I love Moon Knight. It's
Okay.
just, they're giving everybody a series. Springheel Jack is next.
You're right. They're going to give him, and then they'll do Forbush Man.
He's the Avenger that no one wants to talk to. Because he keeps trying to grope Captain Marvel.
He's the D-Venger.
Ant-Man's like, dude, what?
Yeah, dude, I'm a pervert. What are you doing?
We're not talking about the Scott Lang Ant-Man. He's a family man.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the irredeemable Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, the first theory that we've got about this is that he was... Let me see if I can get this out with a straight face, okay? Theory one is that he was an acrobatic nobleman doing it for kicks with springs in his boots. Now, specifically, they said it was Henry, the Marquis of Waterford. Now, the problem being, you can't even do that today. You know? I mean, like, spring-loaded boots. You're kind of talking about the jump boots from the Super Mario Brothers movie, which do not fucking exist. You just fall down and look like a fucking idiot.
So you're telling me I could not be Batman, then? I
am saying you would be Broken Ankle Man. Now, second, the reports continued for several years after the Marquis' death.
What? He faked his death, bro. He faked his death.
He's not Elvis.
He had important work to do. Those tits weren't going to grab themselves.
So what you're saying is that right now, somewhere, Henry the Marquis of Waterford is hanging out with Tupac?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's all I needed to know, because it makes as much sense as anything, because the rational explanation is just as dumb as some of the paranormal ones.
You're right. It's like that. It was swamp gas reflecting off a sandpiper crane's eye that caused the hallucination.
Yeah, let's not forget reflective pelicans.
Reflective pelicans.
So, theory 2 is that he was a demon. Now,
I can get behind that.
Yeah, same here, which you know me. I did this in Coda's World. I had this dude turn up as a demon in Coda's World.
Uh-huh. Yep, I remember.
Yeah, because, all right, we got the glowing eyes, flaming sulfur breath, and he jumps around town like the Tick. And then you add
Spoon.
What?
Spoon.
Oh, yes, Spoon.
Yeah, you mentioned the Tick. I had to. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine, man. It's fine. Now, add to that his immoral behavior and just his general assholery, and I think we do have a strong argument for him being a demon.
Like maybe a lower demon like an imp? So maybe he was trying to earn his horns by honking titties. That's just how that's how the demons get promoted.
Oh my god, did you know that every time a booby gets squeezed, a demon gets his horns? I don't like this new version of It's a Wonderful Life, man.
I'm going to use that line on my wife. She would love it.
Please do. By all means. I take no responsibility for whatever the hell happens to you. Now, the last theory we've got is the one everybody's expecting because it's this show. He's an alien. Dun dun dun. I wish I had a dun 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 button.
Yeah, we need to get you a soundboard.
I've got like my little recorder here. We're gonna start using it. It does have like a 4-button soundboard.
You need laser sounds.
Oh
laser
my god. Yeah, and then it'll go into disco. So now, before we poo-poo all over the alien idea, let's look at some of the rationalizations behind this, because I'll be damned if it doesn't fit and it just captures my imagination. All right. Now let's imagine for a second that this poor guy's ship crashes somewhere in the UK near London during the 1830s. And he's like, shit. Well, there's a semi-industrial society here. Maybe I can head into town for help.
Maybe they have plutonium.
Perhaps they can turn this into a badass steamship. So, what if the air here isn't quite right for him? Like... Okay, he's an oxygen breather, but like maybe there's too much nitrogen. and it
Oh.
causes something like nitrogen narcosis. You know how people will like experience that when they're diving, and they'll be like, "Oh, this oxygen shit's holding me back," and like ditch their air.
Oh shit. You mean he came back up with the bends?
Yeah. Like he's got bubbles in his brains and he's lost his mind.
Man.
And the closer he gets to London, he starts feeling drunk or high or something. And by the time he gets there, he has lost his goddamn mind.
Well, then also it's like peak industrial revolution here, so you got to think about all like the smoke, and then like London wasn't super clean either, so there's like fucking fish guts and
Shit!
raw
What if
sewage.
what if he got thirsty and drank from the Thames?
Oh no!
Oh my god! He'd have to slice it out and like cut it up.
This water tastes like shit.
Well, sir, if you must know, it sorta is. We call this branch of the river the poo-poo detritus. So, alright, we've already said, well, maybe all this shit has affected his mind, and then he finds out the gravity is way less than he's used to. He's from like a super dense planet. And he can jump like a superhero. And he's drunk.
Tall whites can jump.
So suddenly this guy's having more fun than he's ever had in his life. So here's our boy. He's new in town. He's feeling strong and virile. He's got a head full of good vibes. And the women here are just close enough to his species that he starts getting randy. And he's drunk.
Oh shit.
You see where I'm going here. So
Yes.
we've got drunk, horny Superman running around, and the cops show up while he's trying to have a good time. Well, maybe he's got this natural defense thing where he can spray bioluminescent sulfur stuff, like a squid, you know, when they shoot ink out of their buttholes. So he does this in some folks' faces and runs off into the night just laughing like a nut job.
Eat ink, pigs.
Taste my mouth farts. So maybe the guy also has an abnormally long lifespan. And he keeps doing this for like over a century, just hitching rides on boats and hiding. And he gets all the way to South America, and he finds the pickings aren't nearly as easy because everything's spread out. And I don't know, maybe there's more guns in the 70s in South America? You know, a lot of political problems going on down there right up into the present day.
He becomes leader of a small banana republic.
Yeah. And maybe he finally dies. Or maybe somebody shows up from home and they finally pick him up and take him home. I don't know. All I know is this is the saddest version of this story, and it makes the most sense to me in a way.
Okay, so number one, I would love to see this movie, but I have a twist.
Mm-hmm.
He migrates from South America up to Southern California and meets a young boy named Elliot.
Oh, God, no.
Yes.
So
E.T. was Springheel Jack.
E.T. was Springheel. I don't know. There wasn't enough sexual assault in E.T.
Well, which cut of E.T. were you watching?
Oh, wait. Apparently not whatever version you've got.
Yeah, okay, maybe it wasn't E.T. after all.
Maybe it was Trumpy.
Okay. So, like, I don't believe in Springheel Jack as, like, a singular entity.
Mm-hmm.
It's too goofy for me.
Okay.
But, like, I do find, like, the idea of Springheel Jack as, like, a collection of occurrences that human minds interpreted as a single thing to make a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just a bunch of different things that were happening over the span of, like, 40 or 50 years. Everybody's, like, freaking out about it, and then, you know, through the grapevine, it becomes Springheel Jack. Like, that makes the most sense to me. Like, it doesn't explain the weird shit that was going on, but all that weird shit kind of being the same entity,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't buy it.
So
But-
we're going back to the superstructure again.
Yeah, so yeah, since we are kind of eschewing rationalism because it's boring, my insane theory is that it is probably the Fae in some form, kind of, again, like an extra-dimensional entity, and then instead of, like, leaping, perhaps it was just phasing.
It could have been both, though.
It
If we're
could,
talking
it
about
could.
the Fae, we're talking about something that doesn't have, like, mass like we know it, so it could very easily leap over a wall. So
Right, and there's probably some sort of like fey thing in some ancient record, like, oh, it was Leapy McLeaperson.
what if it was a satyr?
And that honestly would make a lot of sense if it, yeah, I think a satyr would make a lot of sense in that case.
A horny goat man.
A horny goat man, I've been called that before.
Maybe this is where horny goat weed comes from in all those
There you
gas
go.
stations. Springheel, it's like Johnny Appleseed, but it's Springheel Jack throwing shitty horny goat weed.
We'll form a sex stimulants company and call it Springheel Jacks.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to market the shit out of that.
I like this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Right. So, David, what have we learned today?
I would say seeing a person like flying just in the air, not in an airplane, is pretty scary.
You know what? You're right. I mean, okay, like during the Mothman episode, we talked about the jetpack guy, which, as we said, is everybody's favorite cryptid, the jetpack guy. So, have you seen these videos of like India and Pakistan where people get footage of just this gray flying man? I highly recommend you look up Flying Man India or Flying Man Pakistan, just in general. And I think they're all fake, but they're fascinating to watch because it's people seeing a man floating in the air, not moving, and then zipping around, and then everyone starts screaming.
It sounds to me like someone was doing in real life Gary's mod.
Yeah, exactly.
Just no clip, free fly mode.
Yeah, no, he just starts...
Just T-posing the whole time.
Oh God! This dude bought the a cracked version of the Matrix and put himself in with like all the neat stuff.
I think we invented a new cryptid, or we invented a new thing because if the universe is a simulation,
the hacker,
the flying entities are just a glitch in the simulation. It's like Gary's mod.
Yeah, can you imagine going outside and doing that weird twist turn thing, and then a tank falls from the sky?
And then the soldier from Team Fortress 2 comes up to you really fast and says something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, I kind of like this idea. Like, if we're living in a simulation, then yeah, I say
we're going to have to
that.
do the simulation as an episode because there's so much we can get into there. I think it would be even crazier than Time Cube. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I fully agree, and I think you, me, and Clark need to get together and do that because
oh my God,
Clark is way into the whole simulation idea.
Almost too into it.
Too into it is a very good way to put it. He's also very much a fan of the birdsaren'treal.org website.
Hey, Clark, have you ever T-posed before?
I haven't seen him do it at work, but that doesn't mean anything. He may just wait till he gets home and then just, stand there.
He doesn't even have a home. He just goes into, the coded backstage and just, T-poses and wait for the clock to roll over.
Somewhere 20 feet underground, there's just a square with Clark in it standing there in a T-pose. And then he just respawns somewhere on the road before he gets to work.
Well, and that also kind of matches with that whole theory. We're getting to another subject here, but that theory of, everybody's experience is their own bubble.
Uh-huh.
And it's like their own simulation, and then when two people are talking, it's like their two simulation bubbles have touched.
I don't have enough alcohol to deal with this right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Yeah, let's talk about more rational shit like flying people.
Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that subject and we're gonna put it on the shelf, and then later I'm gonna break it with a baseball bat.
Yeah, see, here I am getting censored again.
Yeah, I'm not censoring you. I'm trying to save myself. I can handle this, but like Time Cube, I'm gonna have to be kind of tipsy to deal with it.
Yeah, I'll probably need to do some mushrooms for that one or something.
Oh, yeah, no, there's gonna be weed cookies and all kinds of stuff. All right, well, David, once again, thank you for being on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you about one of my favorite bizarre subjects.
Thank you for inviting me on. I always love doing these episodes.
Yeah, people seem to enjoy you being on, so yeah, this is great. And,
it's nice to be liked.
It is. It's so nice. So, before we go, you got anything to plug this week?
Just the usual. I'm doing all my comics, doing all my stories. You can follow me on Twitter at HPKOMIC to check out all the stuff. Also, make sure you listen to the Mutant Hours, Mondays at midnight Central Time, 10 p.m. Pacific Time. I'm going to be doing a Biz Marquee tribute for this week's show because R.I.P. Biz Marquee.
I swear, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. And I also want to say one of my favorite things you've been doing on Twitter is, as always, RG Bots, because that's such a great sense of humor going in there and just twisted stuff. It's fun. So
yeah, we're doing the comic riffing, and then I'm gonna do a whole series of strips that are just like playing with like radio DJ stuff.
All right, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
So you guys know where to find me. You can head over to supernaturalselectionpod.com. Leave us a message. Let us know what you think. First 5 people to give us like some thoughts on this stuff, we'll read them on the air. You can also hit up Mike at Skeptical Mike at supernaturalselectionpod.com. Sorry, it's really hot in here today, so.
Nah, I can feel you sweating from over here.
Yeah, no, it tastes awful, I'm sure. So
yeah.
But yeah, you can find us on the website. We have the show notes page up, so you can go back and listen to past episodes straight from there. We still have new merch coming. The artist I'm working with to do the Throwawaylian shirt has some really great art that we'll hopefully get up on a shirt for you.
Are we still going to be doing Big Yeti Naturals?
We're going to be doing Big Yeti Naturals. And
Thank God, I've been wanting that shirt in my life.
And we're going to do a Bob Lazar shirt that says Lazar Focused with just his head over a laser grid with lasers shooting out of his eyes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Springheel Jack Horny Goatweed.
Yes, we need to do that. That's another shirt that needs to be done. Or stickers, whatever.
Yeah.
So you can hit me up on Twitter at SupernatPod. And we've got the Facebook group if you want to find us there and like us. There's a link to all that on the website. So, again, David, thank you, and we'll be back next week with some more fun. I've got an idea, but I'm going to work on that during the week and spring it on Mike and scare the hell out of him.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, until next time, everybody stay frosty. Good night. Supernatural Selection has been a production of DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. You can find it and more shows broadcast weekly at DeviantBehaviorRadio.com. Our theme music is Screensaver by Kevin MacLeod. It is used through Creative Commons license, and more of his music can be found at incompetech.filmmusic.io.